Shane Van Gisbergen wins on another road course. Was the Roval a good race? Denny Hamlin had a chance to knock out Joey Logano, and he failed again for a second week in a row. And we're going to talk about the playoffs. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. Shane Van Gisbergen has quickly established himself as one of the best road racers in NASCAR Cup Series history. He picked up his 5th road course win of the season on Sunday at the Roval. He has 5 wins in his rookie season now, went ahead and reset that record. Meanwhile, he's pissed off a good portion of the fan base because he's only good at road courses. He's not very good at ovals. He just got a top 10 on an oval last week at Kansas, so we're going to give him some time to develop because he didn't start racing ovals until he was like 34 years old. Meanwhile, most of these guys are starting when they're like 7 years old, which is a big difference there in case you didn't do the math. But Shane Van Gisbergen on Sunday at the Roval dominated once again. He led 57 of the 109 laps, conserved his tires better than everybody else, and then went on to win by 15 seconds, his 3rd win of the season of 10 seconds or more. Now, Sunday's win was a little bit different because everybody else pitted for tires, try to, put on fresh tires to eventually catch him. That didn't happen. He was able to conserve his tires and, like I said, win by 15 seconds. But from the start here, was this a good race? I'm going to give this race a 77. By road course standards, by Gen 7 standards at the Roval, it was fine. It was acceptable. I thought the tire wear was actually a pretty intriguing part of this race. I thought the strategy was pretty interesting. We saw some teams throw a Hail Mary, Joey Logano, Paul Wolfe, who were always very creative with pit strategy. They went ahead and pitted late for tires in an effort to give Joey Logano the chance to be the aggressor at the end of the race. Ultimately, it ended up paying off. We'll get to that in a moment. But then you also had guys like Shane Van Gisbergen staying out on their older tires just to conserve them. That Australian Supercars tire conservation skill mode just absolutely activated for SVG on Sunday at the Roval. So I thought that aspect was pretty entertaining. We only had one caution for incident. That is when Austin Dillon went off into the tire packs, and then the tire packs came out into the infield grass area right there. Obviously, you're going to have to throw a caution for that to reset the tires back into place there. I know some people are probably mad about that, but that's the reason for that happening though. Real quick rundown through the race. Lap 1, turn 1, Carson Hocevar went ahead and junked the 8 car of Kyle Busch. Just said, Kyle, we know that you're miserable right now. We're going to go ahead and put you out of your misery. Didn't ultimately put him out of his misery. He and Riley Herbst got into it later in the race. Kyle Busch and Riley, that is. So that was our first lap damage. Kyle's having to crab walk it back to the pit lane there. And this wouldn't be the last time we heard from Carson Hocevar on Sunday. SVG went to the lead on lap 4, got around Tyler Reddick, and it's like, okay, well, turns out he's still very good on road courses. Then you have Austin Cindric. He has just an absolutely terrible day. His day was as bad as Taylor Swift's new album was because he blows the back stretch chicane, not once, but twice, has to come to a stop and go there, gets spun by Justin Haley, and we'll wait for more of Austin Cindric coming up there. Then on lap 11, it was very evident very quickly that tires were not going to last. We knew in practice that they were iffy on how long you could go with them. Lap 11, Daniel Suarez dives to the pits. Lap 15, SVG dives to the pits. I'm like, okay, yep, we're going to go ahead and do all this tire stuff real quick here. Then at the end of stage 2, SVG ends up winning stage 1, at the end of stage 1, SVG ends up winning stage 1 there. Just drove back to the field, had the fresher tires, and ultimately was able to go on and win that stage. Not that it matters for him, but he's now sitting 12th in points as well. In stage number 2, the agitator of agitators, Carson Hocevar, back in the news once again, just completely locks it up going in the front stretch chicane and cleans out the 2 of Austin Cindric. Just absolutely pile drove him there. Broke the toe link on Austin Cindric's car, did more damage to it. If Cindric would have spun the 77 out, coming back to pit road when they were side by side, it would have been completely understandable and justifiable. And at this point, maybe Carson Hocevar needs to keep a tally on his door like he's a fighter pilot and how many kills they have, because he has absolutely annihilated multiple cars this season. As somebody said, he only has 2 doors. I don't think that's going to be enough space. Kind of like how Connor Zilic has run out of space to put wind stickers on the top of the car there, and they had to move the Roto-Rooter sponsorship down to the quarter panel of the car. Then stage number 2, Ryan Blaney ends up winning that. Stage number 3, SVG and Christopher Bell. They get into a little bit of a battle there. Bell moves SVG up the racetrack, gave him the bumper there, moved past him. Shane, not a stranger to, laying a bumper to people this year, has very much, embraced that aspect of NASCAR racing. We also had a hilarious moment where Riley Herbst, Ty Dillon are mad at each other. Riley Herbst went down to try to sideswipe the 10 of Ty Dillon and blew his own tire out. So cut a tire down on the 35 there. Not ideal for him. We had 2 Ross Chastain pit stop penalties issues rather. One, sped on pit road. Two, just forgot to turn at the end of pit road to go back onto the racetrack. Just mental errors from Ross Chastain, which would ultimately probably come back to bite him here. It is worth noting that at the end of stage number 2, rewind real quick, the end of stage number 2, Daniel Suarez, teammate to Ross Chastain, had the opportunity to pass Joey Logano to take away a stage point from Logano. He ultimately opted to stay behind the 22 to conserve his tires. Now, not saying that he has to pass the 22. He absolutely does not have to pass the 22, especially if he is conserving his tires here. But it is worth noting that Daniel Suarez is not returning to Trackhouse next year. So why would he do anything to try to help out his Trackhouse teammates? Just some food for thought, as they like to say. Then we have Shane Van Gisbergen and Kyle Larson in stage number 3 just trading blows back and forth. SVG kind of dived Larson into that hairpin in turn 7. Larson not happy about that. When they go back up onto the oval there in turn 1, he just absolutely doors the 88 of SVG, then going down into the backstretch chicane, doors him again, and then the two of them make contact again through NASCAR 3 and 4 on the oval there, and then into the front stretch chicane. Larson just gives him a shot in the rear and sends the 88 forward, doesn't wreck him or anything like that. And then getting into turn 1, kind of get together again, and SVG goes from first back to third. And Larson was not playing around, but ultimately SVG would get around him cleanly and then, of course, go on to win the race. But it's what happened at the end of this race. On the last lap of the race, Ross Chastain is dying on old tires. He is absolutely holding on for dear life. Zero grip in that one car, and going back out from the hairpin into NASCAR Oval Turn 1, he's got no grip. Denny Hamlin passes him right there for that spot. That then puts Joey Logano back into the round of 8. Like I said, Michael Myers can't get rid of him. He's inevitable. He'll always be here. And going down into the front stretch chicane from 10 car lengths back, Ross Chastain absolutely sends it into the chicane, tags the 11 of Denny Hamlin, sends both of them out, and then Ross puts it in reverse and tries to go across the finish line and beat Joey Logano, but it didn't matter. Logano had passed him, 3 other cars had passed him. He was 4 points below the cutoff, and that was the end of Ross Chastain's championship hopes right there. Joey Logano advances on, and the entire crowd at Charlotte Motor Speedway booed Joey Logano when they interviewed him after the race. Denny Hamlin, meanwhile, like I said, he let him back in. He's let him in twice now. Denny said after the race he wished he would have known what the point standings were going into this on that last lap, because there's a chance he wouldn't have passed the one car of Ross Chastain. And everyone's going to see, well, that's race manipulation. I don't think it's race manipulation. I think that's strategy. It's not teammates helping one another out. It's not OEMs helping one another out. It is one guy knowing, hey, that team is very good at Phoenix. I don't want to give them the chance to get to Phoenix, especially Joey Logano, because the guy is really, really good there. So he ultimately ends up letting Logano back in for the second week in a row, just like he did last week at Kansas. If he doesn't put the car he owns, Bubba Wallace, into the wall going into Kansas, Joey Logano exits Kansas 8 points below the cutoff. Meanwhile, because Chase Elliott went on to win that race, he entered the race at the Roval plus 13 over the cutoff line. So if he had, had Bubba had won, if Denny didn't take him out, we're looking at a completely different story here. We're looking at a different top 8 going into the round of 8. And ultimately, Joey Logano makes it in because of Denny Hamlin once again. So if Logano goes on to win a championship, you know who to blame here. Well, you can blame Daniel Suarez or you can blame Denny Hamlin. The fan base will probably be split on who they want to blame here. But ultimately, it was Denny Hamlin that let Joey Logano back in. And now he goes to Las Vegas, the site of the race that he won last year, to put himself into that championship race at Phoenix. And if he gets to Phoenix, guess what? Probably going to be lights out once again. And it's going to absolutely infuriate this fan base if Logano wins. Because right now, he has an average finish of 16.2. He has the least number of top 5s among the 8 drivers remaining. He has the least number of top 10s among the drivers that are remaining. And he only has 1 win this season. All you have to do is keep surviving. Don't even have to be good. You only have to be good literally 3 races a year now is basically what it comes down to. And you can argue that it's a consistency thing, like it's a 36 race championship, but ultimately I don't feel like this should be representative of guys that make it to a resume like that. A stat line like that he has should not be representative of drivers that are in the championship 4. It's just disgusting to look at when you see how few good performances that he and that 22 team have had this year. But it's the rules that we're playing by right now. So I can't get that. I'm not even that mad about it. I just think that it's an absolutely ridiculous way to determine a champion at this point when you can look at a stat line and be like, oh, geez, that's not very good at all. But hey, he's playing by the rules. You don't have to be good the entire season. Why be good the entire season? Yeah, it might help you advance on into the playoffs, give you a little bit of extra breathing room, but who cares? Just mess around all year, be good 3 times, and hey, you can go out and win a title at this point. Because if he wins the Roval, he's going. If he wins Talladega, he's going. Not the Roval. If he wins Las Vegas, he's going. If he wins Talladega, he's going. And hey, he could probably win Martinsville, but that's probably going to go to Ryan Blaney. So at this point, probably going to get 2 Penske cars into the Final Four, and everybody's going to be pissed off going to Phoenix in a few weeks' time. All right, let's go through the top 10 real quick here, because one thing about the broadcast, we were too busy watching the battle for like 14th place to see who was going to advance on to talk about who finished in the top 10 of the race. Shane Van Gisbergen wins, Kyle Larson in second, Christopher Bell in third, Chris Buescher in fourth, Michael McDowell, really good run for that 71 Spire team. 0 mention on the broadcast of that. Ryan Preece in sixth, another good run for him. Daniel Suarez in seventh, Chase Elliott eighth, AJ Allmendinger ninth, and Tyler Reddick rounding out your top 10. Reddick only finished 12 points below the cutoff, nearly pointed his way in. So advancing on to the round of 8, you have Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, and Christopher Bell. The 3 dominant teams, the big teams from each OEM, have sent their drivers on. So we'll see how all that plays out. Yeah, it was a race at Las Vegas. I'm still not a huge fan of this elimination style playoff format. It's a format we have, so we'll keep talking about it. I think we're going to talk about why media members are really, really pushing hard to keep the playoffs. I think I'll do that in the next video here, because I think it's something they probably need to talk about at this point here. But let me know what you thought of the race. Shane Van Gisbergen winning. Is he better than Jeff Gordon now? Denny Hamlin letting Joey Logano back in to the playoffs. And who's your pick to go to the Final Four, I guess, at this point? Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BreakHardBlog.